Good morning. I look mad sleepy with a do-rag on, but that's not the reason you're here. Canelo Alvarez, Bud Crawford, off the table. Ring Magazine releases a statement stating as such. Now, if you go back and look at the title of my old video, it says Canelo Crawford, future reality or fantasy fight. Well, there's a reason why the video was titled that, because it was more of a fantasy fight than it was a future reality. In that video, and you go check out the video, I laid out several hurdles to this fight, things that just didn't make sense. And I only really covered it from a boxing perspective. The challenges the fight face if you're in the camp of Team Crawford, that makes it difficult. Concessions you would have to make that puts you at a severe disadvantage. No matter how much you revere Crawford or respect him as a fighter, there were inherent battles or hurdles that would make that fight difficult. And if made, put him in, like I mentioned before, it's more than a tough task. But there's another avenue about this that I want to pursue when it comes to Terence Bud Crawford. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. In this video, we break down why Bud Crawford is in big trouble from a career perspective and a what's next perspective. Canelo Alvarez got 62, 63 fights, maybe 64 fights. He's well established. He's been in there with the best of them way back to HBO days, fighting on Mayweather undercards. He's established himself as a true champion and a legend in the sport of boxing. These things are facts that cannot be refuted, whether you like him or not. He's racked up close to $500 million in earnings. He has record attendance and gates, and he's been a part of the biggest events in the sport of boxing. No getting around that. That's Canelo Alvarez. That's why when he fights someone like a William Skull in May, if that's who he ends up fighting, it's still going to do numbers. People are still going to buy it. He has a country behind him. Canelo Alvarez doesn't need anybody really to generate revenue for his events. There are fights we would like to see him participate in because they're just better fights, right? But as far as making money in the sport, being in it for as long as he's been in it, he turned pro at 15, Canelo Alvarez doesn't need anyone. And this leads me to the primary point of this video. I think Bud Crawford has real problems. The event that Riyadh season put on with Turki Al-Sheikh, I think it was in Cali. It was a stacked up card. The main event was Bud Crawford, Israel Madrimov. It went into the red. That event, despite its spectacle and Eminem concert, it didn't do big numbers. And this is not a surprise with Bud Crawford. If he's not fighting an Errol Spence Jr., who already came insulated with his own fan base, Sean Porter, who has decent fanfare, like, he just doesn't do numbers. He's never been a guy that's done numbers. He's figured out a way to rob the bank and get paid, but not really do numbers. I think as organizations continue to study the market surrounding Bud Crawford, shelling out $15 to $30 million and knowing you're not going to get an ROI, that's cute initially, but after a while and after you've seen people fail at it, you kind of back off the block a little bit. And so when I say Bud Crawford's in trouble, is what does he do next? You went up to 54. If you would have kept momentum after that and fought some other name-known guys at 54, you create the buzz around the idea of a male boxer becoming three-time undisputed. There are fights available for that. You shunned a lot of those fights and those opportunities, and you wanted to wait around for Canelo. If the fight was going to happen, in my opinion, it was going to happen this year in September. I didn't have high hopes, but anything beyond that, and I could be wrong, but anything beyond that, I just don't see it. And perhaps this is one of the situations where Bud Crawford, he's negotiating with Errol, backs out, and then renegotiates on the back end through back channels. Maybe that's one of those deals, but one of the big differences between between Canelo Alvarez and Errol Spence Jr. is Canelo Alvarez is not giving up a bunch of A-side shit like Errol did in an effort to become undisputed at 147 against Bud Crawford. So that's not going to be happening. It's just not a reality of the situation. From an earnings perspective, if you're Bud Crawford, where do you go from here? There was a reason why he was chasing this fight down, and I speculated if he ended up getting the fight, he would be able to walk away because the check would be crazy, no doubt about that. But now we're going to entertain offers back down at 54. You don't really have a choice. As far as blockbuster events for you to sign, those don't really exist because you have to do your part in creating anticipation of future events within a division like 154. And you haven't given a shit about doing that, so you can't create that dynamic. Additionally, you're getting older. And like I mentioned before, I already speculated that you might walk away anyway. So if you're a Terence Bud Crawford fan, my question to you is this. What does he do now? What does Bud Crawford do now that this fight has fallen through? It wasn't even official, so like that's also confusing. But Bud Crawford, from an earnings perspective, he's a bit limited. He's going to need help with bouts, or they're going to do triple wood, or need to be held on free TV, or whatever the case may be. Or he makes a decision to say, yeah, I'm good. I did it. I tried to get to Canelo bout and I dip out. I wouldn't be mad at that. We just got to see what happens next. Let me know what your thoughts are. Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez is not a reality. It is not a future fight. It is a fantasy fight. Shout out to my man DH, a freak fight. And a lot of people ask that question. How many of these do we have to see? Crawford versus Deontay Wilder and all this extra shit. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. This fight is off. It was never really on. There was inherent hurdles. Check out that last video for more specifics. This is your boy JG. This has been the Punch Report, and we out.